Got
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Drama School Mumbai webinar series Let's Talk. This is the 10th webinar that we're conducting. I hope you've read all the instructions all the guidelines that I've shared on the screen. Before beginning the session, I'll just want to read out the guidelines once again. Upon joining the meeting, your audio and video will be on mute. We request you to please let it stay like that for technical and quality purposes. The moment you join in, if possible, please introduce yourself on the public chat space by telling us your full name and city, country. There are people, if you've logged in from your mobile, just rename yourself so that if you ask any question, we address you by your name and not by the mobile name. It usually shows the mobile name if you've logged in from your mobile. If you have any questions and comments, you can just write them to us in the public chat space. You can see this chat space on the right side. You can just write any questions, whatever you have in this chat space. In the case that all participants' questions cannot be answered during the webinar, we will make sure to answer all remaining questions either by email or through one-on-one conversations over the phone. We also have our course advisors available who will do a recap of the session like every 20 minutes, just in case there are people who join in a little late. Um, Please note that this webinar will be recorded and that you will be able to watch it later. All the webinars that we've done, the recordings are available on DSM YouTube channel. If you want, you can just log into, so you can just open DSM YouTube channel and just look at all the webinars that we have. All the 9 recordings have been uploaded, and the recording for today's webinar will be uploaded by the end of the day today. If required, we will be sharing necessary information with you in the chat window. This session is bilingual. The medium of conversation will be English and Hindi. आप जिस भी लैंग्वेज में कंफर्टेबल हैं स्पीकर्स और पार्टिसिपेंट्स इफ यू वांट टू आस्क क्वेश्चंस इन हिंदी आप हिंदी में भी बात कर सकते हैं आप इंग्लिश में भी बात कर सकते हैं Post each webinar session, you can send across your written comments, questions, and suggestions for the speakers via email. If you have any comments, feedback, or questions related to the webinar, or if you want to inquire about about the course or DSM, just write to us on info@thedramaschoolmumbai.in and you can just ask all your questions. We look forward to your feedback and comments. So let's begin the session for today. Good afternoon, everyone. The topic for today's webinar is Pursuing a Career in 2020, your most pressing questions answered. This is the 10th webinar in the series that we're conducting and one of the last webinars also. And I'm really excited to have Tushar Pandey and Deepal Doshi again with us for this webinar. Both of them are like amazing actors, creators, performers, and drama educators. And both of them are also associated with Drama School Mumbai as a pedagogy advisor. Deepal is a pedagogy advisor, and Tushar is a member of the governing council and also like faculty members, visiting faculty members at Drama School Mumbai. Welcome, both of you, once again. And to begin with the session, I'd like to, Tushar, I'd like you to talk about the importance of art, especially in today's time when there is so much uncertainty situated with the current situation, the things that are happening. I'm sure that there are people who are also confused about what's going to happen next. Aage kya hoga? And in terms of a career, that if I want to choose a career as an artist, what are the possibilities, and what are these arts organizations actually doing about all these things? So like maybe just a perspective on why should I just continue this practice, this, like, why should I continue to be an artist, and what is the importance of all these things? So Sharif would like to begin with this, and people can then just take forward from there.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Sati. Uh, so you asked a lot of questions suddenly, and I think that's the topic for the whole hour of this discussion. So I don't think I will start with everything that I have to say right now because it will unfold as we go along. But I think the most important question, right, is that has been an important question for various centuries, I believe for thousands of centuries since when the theater evolved. The idea of what it is, why one needs to be an artist, and I think the most important thing I would like to reflect about is the sense of understanding of yourself, the reason why you want yourself to be articulate, why you need to have voice. I mean, the basic definition, according to me, an artist needs to possess is the idea of finding their own voice, an idea of expressing what they believe, what they understand, and putting it forward and making an influence in the world around. Now, that happens with every field. In any field, you take doctors, engineers, every field possesses the same quality. You want to excel in something, you understand how your brain functions, and you want to take it forward. That's true for artists as well. So anyone who's inclined and has the interest in finding their voice through the medium of art needs to tackle and need to find this through exploration via schools, through exploration via experiences of work, etc. Hence, the time doesn't change. I mean, yes, we're going through a big problem with COVID-19, but we've been dealing with loads of problems in previous centuries and present times. One, things arise and we keep questioning ourselves and we keep growing ourselves and we keep finding ways that we want to express ourselves. Now, that's what the contemporary artist is doing. They're looking at these boundaries and saying, okay, what do I feel about it? How do I need to express? Some are expressing via poetry. Some are trying to create new age art. And again, I'm saying it is happening to us right now, and we don't need to answer it at this very moment. We don't need to look for answers for COVID-19 right now. This is something we just experience, let it pass through us, and we'll have a voice. I mean, the great work of art based on the experiences people have gone through World War II didn't happen in 45, 46. It's happening even till now. So idea is we go through problems and we start finding what it did to me and what I can do to express and to open it. So I think just quickly talking about COVID and the situation where it was, art will sustain irrespective of what we go through. We keep finding ways to keep saying, there was radio, there was theater, and we started finding a way when the camera came in and there were movies and people started incorporating camera into theater. The idea is always to have a voice and always to have this a sensation that we feel through ourselves by reading a play, by reading a poetry, by a word, by dance, and finding a way to express this to someone else who can feel and embodies the same thing that we are going through. So I think hence art is important. It's an equal and very important aspect of our society, and society comprises of everyone coming together, be engineers, doctors, artists, etc. It's educationalists, etc. So it is an important chunk of how our society grows and understands. And this will sustain forever. So yes, there is no need to worry about COVID and suddenly saying, oh, do I need to be an artist? Yes, you need to be an artist if you want to be an artist. And then you need to find your own place. So my first response to the day for the hour would be this, and I think we'll go along with more questions. People, if wants to add something.
Hi guys, hi everybody. Hi Tushar, hi Shruti, hi everybody. No, it's great. I mean, why should you do this? I mean, just because you want to. Nothing changes. I've been sitting home thinking कि यार कोविड के पहले क्या हाल थे. कोविड के पहले भी तो उतना ही डर था यार. मतलब क्या है, तो पूरी दुनिया बंद है, हम थोड़े अकेले घर पे बैठे हैं. आर्टिस्ट, इंजीनियर भी घर पे बैठे हैं, डॉक्टर्स भी घर पे बैठे हैं. Somebody asked me, was it great before COVID? It was shit before COVID. We were all terrified. We were all, every artist was anxious. Every artist had a moment of like, why can't it be better? many artists had a great thinking. There was still hope. There was still despair. I mean, uh, in my mind, literally, other than our minds, nothing's really changed about the arts. I mean, were we having this discussion? Is it scary to be in the arts? You know, if you had this discussion before COVID-19, the answer was yeah, it was. You know, is it scary now? Of course it is. But is it scary to be an engineer now? Of course it is. You know, thousands are getting laid off. Uh, what's safe? Nothing. You know, life's not safe. I mean, let alone jobs. So I think, to be honest, you know, it's life versus livelihood. You know, and they're both entangled, intertwined, and they both go on. I mean, uh, expression is in the human nature. आप प्रकृति को थोड़ी बदल सकते हो. You know, I mean, मोदी जी ने कहा था तालियां बजाओ. लोगों ने कितने तरीके ढूंढे ताली बजाने के लिए. सब थोड़ी आर्टिस्ट थे. You know, लोगों ने कहा दिए जलाओ, तो कहीं वीडियो आए तो कोई सिलेंडर ही जला रहा है, किसी ने अपने आप को आग लगा ली गलती से. I mean, this goes on. It's human nature to do this, I feel. So, you know, if you and I stop doing art, somebody else will do it. So the question is, does COVID change things? It changes everything, you know. So when everything changes, and things were changing constantly, as Tushar said, nothing was constant. I mean, uh, things were getting harder, and things were getting hopeful, things were getting creative, you know. And as things change, and we adapt, and we accept. I mean, there's no other choice. So I feel it's a little dangerous to get in the trap of questioning it now, because nothing's really changed when it comes to you pursuing the art. I mean, you know, those who are screwed right now are screwed. Those who aren't screwed. I mean, that's what the nature of the job is. You know, all your fears that you had, that you're having from COVID about this field, about the arts. If you really sit down and think, were these questions viable before COVID? I would say yes. I mean, probably you'd think yes. You know, nothing was guaranteed before COVID. Uh, I think it really comes down to how badly do you want to do this? Because I feel like if you'd rather do something else, if feeling safe makes you do something else, it's the question is, what do I want? Do I want to feel safe? Do I want money? Do I want to do something that I want to do, you know, and make money, whatever it is? What is the most pressing question to you? And if you think, I would sit down and say, no, I really want money. You know, it doesn't matter whether I like something or not. And I say, okay, what's going to make me money? What do I feel sure about? And I say, I feel sure about trading in shares. Do I hate it? I hate it. But do I hate it more, or do I love money more? So I love money more. Screw it. I'm going to do shares because that's my way of making money. You know, I would go think about it that way. If you say, no, I love my job, I love being an artist much more than the safety of money, then do it. Because, you know, कौन नहीं डूबा है यार, सारे ही डूब चुके हैं इस चक्कर में. I mean, you know, I was thinking today, you know, a few people, actually a couple of people I know got laid off. Were given a choice. One of my friends was given a choice. We got to lay you off, but if you want to work, you'll have to work for free. I mean, you know, and I was like, fuck, that's tough. Sorry, you know, shit, this is tough. Now, what is it worse that she got sacked from a job that she probably already hated? You know, she might wanted to do something else, and now she depended on a job that she hated, but now she's sacked. Now, how depressing could that be? Or should she feel great? Great, now I have a reason to quit. I don't think so. You know, because you had kind of aligned your compromises and all you had surrendered around this thing, and now even this is gone. Now one sits and goes, I might have, you know, how miserable would I have been had I succeeded or failed doing what I love to do? At least there would have been something. So I guess, no, I mean, you know, speculation is the same.
Right. बहुत अच्छा point. In fact, people the Sharjah आपने share किया. These questions were there before COVID also. But one very important thing I think that we should even talk about, and most of the applicants who are calling us, who are applying for the course this year, they also have these questions. What is the future of performing arts post the COVID situation? Like, बीच में एक break आ गया. ये question पहले भी थी, ये uncertainty पहले भी थी. But now there's a break. We know that businesses are going down. People are getting laid off from their jobs. Now things will take some time to at least normalize. All right. And with the already what is the condition of performing arts in our country, or अब उसमें एक और break आ गया. So what is going to happen next in terms of the forms that we are addressing, the ways that are we going to change like the styles? I mean, is there going to be another way that we are going to address all these things in a different way? Are we looking at different forms, different styles in performing arts? I mean, what exactly it is post the COVID situation, of course.
This is for Tushar, me.
Anybody. You can start and then perhaps Tushar can just
Uh, of course, I mean, everything's going to change. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to be questioned and, revisited. Everybody's going to try and start preparing for what if something like this happens again. How do we survive? Every event changes humanity. Every event changes the way businesses work. Every event changes the way professions approach the future, because they're going to say we're going to be prepared for this. And theater is a profession, it's another business. It will have to change according to, stories are going to change. इतिहास बदल गया तो कहानियां बदलेंगी. यू नो जिंदगी जीने का तरीका बदल जाएगा इसके बाद, तो उसे दर्शाने के तरीके भी बदलेंगे. Everything's going to change, and ironically, in a great way, the artists that are working now are going to be the pioneers of that change. A lot of us are going to be criticized for the new things we bring in. A lot of us will be lauded for the work we bring in, but that's the nature of our art. It's like a plate of food. I may love what you've cooked, and somebody else might hate it. In the end, it comes down to taste. So a lot of that is going to happen. A lot of conventions are going to be questioned, and which was already happening. Ironically, I do believe it's always happening. It's nothing. Again, I don't see something goes like, "Arey, ye to kabhi nahi hua. Ab se ye hona padega." I think no, it's just going to be another addition. That I think it's going to be more space for newer things, for newer identities.
To add to what people are saying, I think one of the great examples I find is when you look at a performance. You create a performance and you go to a venue which doesn't have as many lights as you want, and suddenly you need to adapt your play based on the space and based on the lights that are provided to you, and you try and emphasize and bring on the same experience to the audience as you would have done it with as many number of lights or as big a space or as many actors you would wanted initially. And so the idea is always to find yourself and adapt around the situation. At the same time, give the same experience that you're trying to give. Now, why I bring this specifically to people who are looking at the idea of possibly joining drama school or any other theater school. See, the idea is, again, the schools are adapting themselves. And if I talk about drama school, people and I know that we have been adapting and finding ways to improve what we give students over the last 6 years. And I think that will happen. So definitely there will be changes, and definitely there will be ways that will push us as the pedagogy advisors and people look into the curriculum and teachers and the school and the students themselves. So the idea would be that yes, there would be a shift, but the shift would be essentially based on the idea of what we really want to say. And that the core will remain the same. The mediums might change. The people who go through this curriculum of the school, there are different styles the school adapts and teaches. There's something called a platform where you have to tell an epic story just on a 6x4 platform, which is 6 feet by 4 feet, which is a really small space for 5 actors to stand on top and perform an Iliad or Ramayana or Dark Knight. And the idea is the same thing can be done on a very bigger scale. Again, one have to adapt, one have to find their inner voice, that try and change and find dimensions that can tell you a better storyteller in which you find understanding and comfort. So I necessarily don't feel there's a need to worry. Yes, there's a need to be open to find ways that you can express and move ahead from that.
Right. That's very important. Also, there's one more thing that what happens is that when we are trying to pursue a career in art specifically, there's a lot of course, there are challenges. There's a lot of insecurity as well. Along with that, even if our belief is strong, there's constant pressure that we face from our parents and family members. Like I remember myself when I started doing theater and when I applied for the school, I was asked this question constantly: why this career? Why do you want to do this? Because somewhere down the line, parents also want that their children should settle down with a good career so that they can save for themselves. But in terms of like theater, and we also look at the situations that we have, this is something that's coming in like this is happening over the years. This is still happening, and now also there are people who've shown concerns that I want to do it, but I am not getting any kind of support from my family or from my parents. What should I do in that particular situation? I think that is very important to address, and how to cope up with all these pressures and anxieties, because this is something that we really get bothered with. And somewhere जो एक belief system होता है, हमारा strong belief system होता है, वो कहीं ना कहीं एक confusion में एक डगमगा सा जाता है कि whether should I go for it or should not go for it. So something that if you can just talk about this, and then like anyone if you can start. Tushar.
I mean, see, at the end of the day, it's a difficult question, and you got to answer it yourself. Yes, we are here to give you our experiences, but at the same time, it is a difficult question for you to go through, because there is a big empty void in front of you, if you look at the arts for that matter. And the reason you've come this far to come to a reasoning or questioning yourself to say, should I go in? There is definitely an inherent choice for you that you've made to come this far. I mean, otherwise, I'm pretty sure most of you would have studied non-medical, medical, art, economics by the time you finished at 12. So there was a sense of a career forward. Some of you might be engineers. But the idea is there is a pull that comes trying to attract you to this field. Now you need to go deep and say why it's happening to you. And I think that might give you some kind of reasoning why you want to do. But at the end of the day, it is a difficult choice, and it's you sometimes just have to jump to the unknown to discover what it means to you. There have been students in our batches who've done drama school, and I remember one of the students, Mandira, who is a photographer. Now, one can say that, she studied performing arts and why she photography, because at the end of the day, she discovered herself and she understood what is the medium that can express herself and her ideas more. But what really an art school does it gives you an understanding and opening and questioning and making yourself understand who you are. And that's what it is at the end of the day. You have to decide to jump or not jump. I don't know. I am not in the position to say you should or you should not, because I don't know what you've gone through.
Yeah. You know what? If you want to be safe, you should not do this. You shouldn't be in arts. It's my genuine advice to you, because you got to be mad. I mean, again, like Tushar said, it's such an individual thing. I believe, art exists in your heart, and then the mind kind of allows it to, okay, I believe that you got to be mad, to be an artist, some kind of artist. And mad doesn't mean out of control. It means that, it's the feelings that move you. It's your unthought feelings, this thing that happens in you, the excitement that drives you, and then your mind comes to support and allows you to articulate it, express it without destroying, hence we call it creating. But at the end of it, that problem is not changed. For people, there were millions and millions and thousands of people who had a tough time convincing their folks that this is the right thing they should be doing, like Shruti just mentioned. तब तो कोविड नहीं था, और तब भी safe नहीं था, तब भी हमारे पास कोई answer नहीं था. Is it safe? No, nobody. I mean, no, nothing's changed. But yes, I mean, you should do this because that's what you want to do. I mean, the answer doesn't change. You could start. I mean, hotels. Take the restaurants. You want to open up a restaurant that right now restaurants were making millions of rupees in Bombay. Now they shut down. क्या guarantee उनकी?
One thing that people is very importantly pointing out is COVID should not be the reason for you to say yes or no. It doesn't change anything. I think the question, if you were thinking about it in January, I don't think that should change just because it's June right now, May right now, and you are going COVID. Inherent problem is not there.
COVID has kind of put like a global pause.
In a good way.
Everything's bloody stopped. Not just you. You feel it more because आपको घर से बाहर निकलना allowed नहीं है. बाहर निकले तो डंडे पड़ेंगे. But the point is, you're isolated. It sucks because when you're not doing something, then you're speculating. Is it going to be tough? Of course it's going to be tough. It's always been tough, and the best way I think is, no matter what you choose, if you do what you love, then one of the things is that internally there's a voice in you that says, if I love to do something, I should be good enough at it, or I should be able to find a way that allows me to survive doing it. And that's when you realize that, okay, how do I guess? It's like engineering. It's like doctor. If I want to be a doctor, if I love saving lives, if as a child I said, I love it when people feel better around me, what do? I say, I go to I become a doctor. How do I become a doctor? Okay, I can read books and I go to a doctor's school so that nobody questions me. You approach theater the same way. I love performing. I love entertaining. I love saying something. Okay, now how do I do? How do I become really skilled at it? So I go to an institution that really gives me the tools to really do my job in the best way possible. You know, nobody becomes an engineer saying कि मैं तो average engineer बन जाऊंगा यार, मतलब ठीक ही है यार. You know, आदमी जो भी बनना चाहे, he wants to be the best in it. I don't think I'd be very happy to find somebody say नहीं यार सर अपना तो ठीक ही है, मतलब कोई टेंशन नहीं, ज्यादा फास्ट अच्छा नहीं करना हमको डॉक्टर भी बनना है, एवरेज ही बनना है, ऐसे कोई ज्यादा अच्छा नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता ना. आई मीन यू वांट टू बी द बेस्ट डूइंग व्हाट यू आर, एंड थिएटर इज नो डिफरेंट. Yes, we're not an organized sector. See, the biggest problem is we're not an organized sector. Okay, and that's what creativity comes along, not just in making art but also in surviving. You know, you're an entrepreneur. Drama school, that's why it teaches students as a actor entrepreneur, creator entrepreneur. It's like business. You know, there is risk, there is risk, there is profit, there is gain, there is loss. You know, we all do theater. Not okay, we all love theater, we all love performing, but one of the reasons we do it, and I'm going to be very honest here, is because we look at examples that we love to see, you know, which are success examples. आप अपने माँ बाप को 4 लूजर के एग्जांपल तो नहीं देते हो ना. आप जब लड़ाई करते हो कहते हो ना, अरे देखो उनका भी तो हो ही गया ना, वो भी तो बेचारा. You know, we talk about the struggle stories, and because there is a success story behind it, right? So we are all going there, and I'm saying that nothing is going to stop. I mean, the Great Depression of 1929 created vaudeville. Okay, so after every great thing, there was a resurgence of art. You know, everything's, I mean, airlines are shutting down. अभी आप पायलट बन जाते तो क्या उखाड़ लेते, जब प्लेन ही नहीं उड़ रहे. So I mean, it's that simple. I mean, you'll have to sit down with your folks, and first you have to have your own belief, you know, that this is what you want to do, this is what your hopes are. You have to accept for yourself that there is a risk, there's not an answer right now. Then sit with your folks and say, this is what it is. Okay, and then in the end you'll have to take a call. You know, your folks might like it, might not like it, but you'll have to take a call. But for your own mind, you'll have to also become very scientific and very business minded about it. That what's your plan? You cannot say, चलो भैया स्कूल जाएंगे फिर देख लेंगे कल का क्या होना है. You have to have plans. Those will constantly change, but you have to have like a game plan, a war plan. You know, I'm going to call it a war plan because it feels like we're in wartime. But I think that's the way to approach theater, and really be madly in love with what you want to do. Because if you're
I'll just differ slightly just so that I'll get the other perspective. Is when I joined theatre school after college, I had no plans. Not that I didn't have an idea of saying, oh, after I finished 3 years of training, I'll do this and this and this, which changed. No, I personally didn't have a plan because I was still trying to seek and understand what do I wanted to do. Now, the times were different for sure, but I just jumped in and I understood while I was training that I got a very clear idea of what I wanted to do once I was in it. I'm just saying this, not to right or wrong, just want to bring another perspective that to everyone who's listening, that there could be somebody who's just saying, but at the same time, I was very certain I wanted to do this. So I studied at National School of Drama. That was my first professional institute. Now I did it because I was very sure I wanted to train. I didn't know what will happen from it, but at least I was certain. I was not saying, oh, let me just do my time pass and see if I want, if it's interests me. No, that's not what I'm saying. So I agree with people that at least I was certain why I was doing it, but I was not certain what will happen from it. As a war plan strategy, there wasn't.
True. Well, I'm saying, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I mean, if you have the privilege, if you have the freedom of doing that, I think it's the best approach. That don't have a plan, but have a plan of education. It's a great approach because then you're not limiting yourself. But at the same time, if you have parents who are holding you accountable, then you have to think of something. Yeah. You know, a part of being creative is being creative in life. You know, it's about negotiating. When you start doing theater, you'll have to negotiate with a shitload of things. You'll have to negotiate with ensemble members. You'll have to negotiate with your institution. You'll have to negotiate all your life, you know, and that starts at home. How do you convince your parents? How do you sell your plan? You know, it's a great educator. You know, if you have the privilege to say, I want to train, I want to educate, and then I want to see, then good. Then, then we don't worry about it. This happens because I feel the easy thing to do is to fight with your parents, leave home and do what you want. That is possible. It's easy. But उसमें मजा नहीं है यार. It's somewhere it creates little holes in your dignity, कि कहीं ना कहीं साले वो छेद ना उनमें से बदबू आती है फिर. I feel like there's more grace, there's more fun in like having that conversation with your parents, having that difficult conversation with your parents, making them rethink about it, figuring a way out so that when you really convince them, or if they come to say, Beta Baba, we still worried. Say, I agree, I understand, so that when you do what you're doing, you still know that they're somewhere with you. I'm just saying that, in times like these, when we are at home, my sense of logic is a little blurry now. I'm kind of more into like, okay, what does life mean? What is it? And I feel in the end, you got to be happy. You can. It's a very sad state to say, theater school आ गए सर पे कफन मान के घर से लड़ाई करके यहाँ करके. I think that's one way to do it if you don't have a choice. But that should be your last straw. If you can really come do it, then you're open to more creativity, more opportunities. You don't feel cornered, you don't feel hardened, because the first thing we do in any theater school is loosen people up. अब अंदर से मन इकट्ठा हो रखा है, कहाँ से loosen up होंगे? So I think a lot of that, is helpful.
Right. Very good point, actually. You're getting some questions from the participants, but before that, I really want you to answer one question. In terms of the infrastructure that we have for performing arts in our country, as compared to what we have abroad, in like the number of schools that we have and the kind of work we are doing, I really want you to answer what needs to be upgraded in terms of the work that we are doing, and what exists, what needs to be upgraded, and how are we addressing all these things, like as artists, as performers, are we really doing something for all these things? Some crucial points on that, like out of your own experience of being into this field for so many years, the work that you're doing, the understanding you've got from your own education, your own trainings, and looking at the work that's been done in other countries and in India.
I mean, I'll start. I'm sure people will have a lot more points to add. See, one thing is very clear that we are not a very organized sector. People have also mentioned in India, we're not. So there's no sense, or in theatre specifically, there's no sense of what to do after you've graduated or after you actually want to jump into performing arts. Because there's no place that you can actually go to and understand how the structure is unfolding, either be in terms of spaces, be in terms of actors' approach, or be in terms of casting for theatre performances, etc. Now, I think that's where the whole reasoning behind setting up the curriculum of actor, creator, entrepreneur comes in at drama school. The reason that we started feeling that there is a void of space where an actor or a performing artist doesn't need to sit and wait for somebody to cast them or invite them or just keep doing understudies or just being part of production boy just so that they can get more experience. The idea is that as an artist, you got to have a voice and you got to have an understanding of what you want to say regarding anything that's happening in your life or in the social surroundings outside. And hence, you got to find a way to explain it and treat it, perform it, find a language that can enhance your experience that you can translate to somebody else. And then, so I think something that an artist can do themselves to fill that void is to create, is to find ways that they can stand by on their 2 feet, find their own voice by writing, by directing, by performing, by just finding a channel that they can just come and be at that pitch. You don't need to just look at those 5 or 6 directors working brilliantly in the country and just trying to get to them. And this is not a pyramid that you've got to go one step at a time. Only it'll take you 10 years to reach that place where you will actually get a chance to play a small role in a very big production. Now, that I think is something that we are tackling in the country, at least in the contemporary artists in India, that they are trying to create their own voices. And hence we have few young artists, actor directors, writer directors who are changing that formula. West is different because at least I am aware of London specifically because the Western works in a very structured manner. Because there are professional spaces, there are money invested by the states. There are state repertories who give art actors payment stipends every month if you're part of a repertoire company. West End works in that structure. You've got to be trained, you've got to have a CV, and then you have an agent who come and see your shows and you go for auditions for theatre. So there is a very different dimension when it comes to theatre. I'm talking of commercial theater here. Theater scenario around the world, I understand, is the same. If you just take out this whole commercial aspect. Now, if you look at Jatra or Assam theater, which is called mobile theater, they function in a very structured manner because they have a 9-month period where they tour their plays, or Marathi theater, professional commercial plays. They make decent money if they're actors in part of their company. So when it comes to commercial world, there is a structure based around everywhere. It could differ in terms of the amount of money or in terms of how big their venues are. But theater scenario as a whole around the world is very similar for an actor who's just trying to look for work, and hence the void has to be filled by themselves. And that's where I feel the situation is.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Tushar. Overall, I feel, one of the things, I don't know, I mean, so question, if I understand your question correctly, in terms of nationally, one of the things I think we need is theater at at the school levels, more seriously, to theater to be seen as an education around in the West, there is a very, very accepted, understood pedagogy to theater. It is treated as, okay, there's a training, you come through it. There is a vocal, physical training that goes with theater. As an actor, by the time you reach, let's say West End or Broadway, you have to have a certain level of skill sets that is a standard for everybody. After which kind of, when you to be fit, and I think that starts because right from the schools there is theater. It's treated as as one of the part of the curriculum. It's not just an extracurricular hobby activity. And I think the idea of theater as an educational thing, as a skill, has to become bigger and bigger and bigger, which is where drama school actually pushes that idea. A lot of drama schools alumni are also now teaching theater in schools, not just actors. Because I think the skill level of theater is going to change because people are going to understand the value of it. So I think on a bigger level, theater has to be understood and realized as an education, as a skill, because only things that are skilled create an industry. And that's why we don't have an industry. I mean, when you look at media, the director of photography, the DOP, the cinematographer, has a skill set. He commands a certain place, a certain respect, a certain value, because the skills cannot be negotiated. You can't say you haven't learned. You have to understand, right? If acting can be seen that way, then there is going to be a bigger scope for actors. Right now, unfortunately, even today, acting is not seen that way. It's like, ye kar lega, ye nahi kar lega. It's a very unaccountable way that we look at it, because the educational factor of it is quite. If you look at the percentage of how many education institutions we have seriously working in the skill of acting, it's quite less in India compared to the number of people. So I think the more number of education institutions, in colleges, universities, that's going to be one of the big things to kind of to push forward um, with theater. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. I mean, because with the rest, Tushar has actually really summed up a lot of it.
Vidur has a question. He is asking that Vidur Sethi, he is asking that what are the possibilities of theater on screen? Basically, possibilities of creating virtual audiences and interactions, like we see that these days, because most of us, of course, everyone is sitting at home, so we have most of the sessions going online, and there are plays that are available online as well to watch. There are so many links available, like even like National Theatre, and even in India, we see that there are so many performances that are put up online so that people can watch. So what is the possibility? Do we look at these possibilities post the COVID world as well?
I mean, media in art has been a very prevalent and new age medium that's been used by artists for a very long time. This is the idea of incorporating cameras into work is happening for a while. Now it's just, one cannot just completely divert and say this is the future of theater, because the theater by itself has been existing for such a long time in this mode, because there's an interpersonal relation that happens in space that you can share those senses with somebody physically. Now that doesn't mean, or that doesn't discredit the idea of the camera coming in, or the idea of projections coming in, and how you can use this visual medium to translate the performance aspect. No, it is not. It's a new world. It's a new style that people are incorporating a lot more. Again, right now, I personally feel it's happening just because there is a physical distancing between people and people cannot share a space, and hence people are trying to find ways. But I think every style, every idea, every art form needs a reason to be incorporated. And that's why media, projection, TV, camera has been used for a while for a purpose, what the artist wanted to translate or say. Uh, I think I don't know if I don't know who asked this question, but the person who asked this, I think they're getting what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is every style has a reason. Yes, media has a reason, projection has a reason why artists have been using it for the last 2-3 decades in the world. Right now, I believe it's just because people are away from each other, they're just jumping the gun and trying to incorporate it. National Theatre, for example, NT Live is a model that has been happening for a while where people can watch in theatre, cinema halls, live show. Now, that is because the theatre is full, and if people still want to watch that show, they can go to the cinema and they can project it, and hence more viewership can be achieved. But that doesn't take away the idea of why there's a reason that we share a physical space. So it's a medium, people are using it for a reason. It doesn't necessarily have to be the future.
Yeah, I mean, the question is going to be, it's going to be interesting. Something's going to change, but the question is going to remain the same. What makes theater different from film, or what makes film different from television? Because this question everybody's going to be faced with with the way people are now subscribing to Netflix and the web media. People making films are going to wonder.
I mean, if I may interrupt, I made a show 3 years ago which used 10 cameras, and audience can only watch the show via television, and they could only watch 20% of it. The show was live, but they could only physically see the actor only for like 10% of the play or 15% of the play. Rest of the time, they have to watch it via television. They're connected with 10 cameras. Now, there was a reason behind it. That doesn't necessarily mean this was what the film medium was. I mean, I'm just trying to, again, emphasize on the idea of why one uses a style. Sorry, Nikhil, I can't.
No, that's all right. So I think the question is going to be, what am I creating? And, what is it that identifies what I do with what I am, like with my form, like the experience of it. There is film, there is media, there is theater, there is TV. What changes, they're all telling stories. What changes is the experience. So it can't just be a simple thing that theater is not going to be online and people are going to watch it, because if the experience doesn't change, then the question becomes, then why not watch a film? Why watch something live? So how do you create that experience that makes theater theater? There is going to be an exploration in it. The answer is not with us, because if we had the answer, we'd be doing it already. So this is a new thing, and then the answers are going to be found out. Like now, more experiments will happen, more explorations will be done. A lot of failures will happen, some successes. Things are going to be built. People, because a lot of it also happens with the way audiences start perceiving work, start accepting. It's like we didn't relate to who would have thought 10 years ago that we'd be sucking up to Netflix or Amazon the way we're doing today? That they are a perfect substitute. Who would have thought that we'd be watching a 3-hour film on our cell phones? Had somebody told me 10 years ago, when I was in awe with the 70-foot screen, that somebody says up to 3 घंटे की film mobile पे देख लेना, I would have said no, yaar. Give me that experience. So a lot of it will change, but I think that's what it is. What makes theater theater? What is theatrical about theater? I think that will have to be questioned again by artists. That what am I creating, and can I communicate that through this medium? I don't think lockdown or COVID is going to say now theater is going to happen on screen, because then it won't be theater. It'll just be bad cinema or bad television. So what is it? What is it that keeps theater theater? What aspect of it needs to be live, and how do we? I think a lot of those experiments are now going to happen. A lot of the discoveries are not going to happen. Things will change. And my feeling is that we are still, as a species, we're a herd species. We're not isolated species. The community is not going to say, "Iske baad se hum nahi aayenge saath mein." I think people will still congregate. People will still want to see something live. People will still want to feel things. But that's my feeling. It's not it's what I feel, and I very strongly feel that it's going to come back in its own way. A lot of things will get incorporated differently. but I don't think that theater is going to lose its form and just be an on, because then it won't be, I mean, then why would it be theater? So I think this is just the time when we're all going to say, okay, we're going to figure something out, and the audiences are going to be part of this new discovery. The hopeful side, I feel, is that people will be willing to see something new, will be willing to have a new experience, because the way artists and professionals are feeling the 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 effects of COVID, the audiences are also feeling क्योंकि हम भूल जाते हैं, हम इतने डर जाते हैं कि we're not सिर्फ एक साइड पे काम नहीं हो रहा ना, कि ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ हम परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, ऑडियंसेस भी तो देख रही है, उनकी भी तो जरूरत है ना, वो कहानियां भी तो सुनना चाहते हैं, सिर्फ हम कहानी सुनाना चाहते हैं ऐसा नहीं है ना. So they are also going to be willing to say, I want to still hear the story in a different way. So I think it's going to be a shift on both ends, and it's going to be very interesting how we provide them our form, our work.
Right. There's another question that Vidur has asked, and this is a pretty long one. How is DSM and the theatre practitioners around the country are making efforts for fellow performing arts spaces like Katputli Colony and Mangniyars of Jaisalmer? And does DSM, in that sense, seeks an approach towards collaborating and supporting spaces which needs and have seeked support in times of upheaval? So in terms of performing arts spaces of particular caste and class have taken a toll more than ever, and would love to know what do you guys think about this thing. You've got the question?
Well, yes, there are 2 or 3 aspects of the question. Now, first of all, drama school in itself is an institute. It's a school of teaching. It's not it's not only an organization who's trying to sustain theater by their practices. So it just changes the model completely if one is just looking forward and trying to connect to forms and theater in spaces and trying to find ways that they can survive, because it becomes a very big task in itself. And right now, drama school is one of the institutes that's running a theater school. I'm connecting a lot of dots here, so just bear with me. That's one aspect you have to keep in mind. The second is there's a chunk of a lot of artists around the world who have collaborated with a lot of such artists, performers. If you know of Mangniyars, then you would know of Mangniyar Seduction. There's a play by Royston Eagle that's toured around the world and most of the venues for the last 15 years. Now, Royston Eagle is an independent theatre film director who worked with Mangniyars in early 2000, created this show called Mangniyar Seduction and took them around the world since they're still running the shows. So there are artists and they're trying to connect with a lot of different forms, and there are a lot of organizations who are trying to work in their own personal manner. We have 1 or 2 students who come from the areas. I know of 2 students, not from just drama school, from the other pieces I've taught, who've gone back to their places and have tried to reconnect with the forms and their own styles and trying to find their own language and enhance that skills. So there are independent artists around the country who are trying to go back to their roots and trying to connect. So Yakshagana, for that matter, there are a lot of artists who have gone back and got formal training in theatre and have gone back and trying to uplift and bring back the practice of Yakshagana, which is fairly famous in Karnataka, but there are a lot of places that they're not. Hence, it again goes back to individual artists of what they want to seek out of their practice and how they can go back to their roots and work towards it. As a drama school member, all I can say is there is a 2-month of internship that students do undertake after they finish their course, at the end of their courses. And they have a freedom to go to theatre groups or theatre societies, theatre practitioners, and work with them and try and enhance their skills vis-a-vis with their practice with them. So if people are interested in going to their places, and if we can connect with them and find ways that they can sustain our students and give them an understanding of their practice, the drama school would be more than willing to extend that hand, because we are looking forward to those internships to be full-fledged and full-bodied and full journey. At present, I am not aware if our students have gone to such places. But again, it's a practice. We are also growing as an institute. We are also trying to find our own crafts. I have personally worked with Kodiyattam artists, Yakshagana artists, myself as an individual performer and a theater practitioner, because I had few contacts that I wanted to try and experiment. So I think that goes back to the artists themselves and how they want to use their practice and take it forward. As a drama school institute, I'm not sure our job right now is to cater that, because we are a bunch of practitioners who know what they're doing in terms of education. So I think it's just trying to jump our guns and just hold on to things we ourselves are not fully accomplished in doing would not be a good thing to us either. I don't know if I've answered correctly or fully. If you what your question is, if you have further questions, please ask me. I'll respond. In the meantime, people will.
Deepa, do you want to add something to this?
I think Tushar has pretty much said a lot. I mean, I think the one thing we do, though I think we do as drama school, is that we do have a constant a platform of discussion of exploration about spaces that are existing in the country. Because one of the things that happens is, and we make it a point even every year to talk to our students, because there is this fact that we're based in Mumbai. We're based in Bollywood, so to speak. In the film industry. So we really try hard to tell students and to really understand and make people understand that we're not a school just catering to films or Bollywood. We're not catering to films. We're a theater making school, and we're interested in theater that comes from everywhere. So one of the big things that we end up encouraging our students every year is this talk about what is going on in the country. Like Tushar said, one of our alumni went and studied Yakshabana afterwards. Um, so I think we make students write about things. We have forums. We invite artists. Two of our students who came from Wada, this place.
Yeah, never watched Sagar.
Two Sagar and Ram who are there. They don't live in Mumbai anymore. They operate out of their own village where they came from, and they are doing their work there. So I think at this point as drama school, I don't even, to be very honest, we're not in that place where we can now say we're going to support spaces throughout the country. I think what we can do contribute best is create an awareness to the artists. There are these spaces around the country. Let's explore, like Tushar mentioned, the internships. We have a regular connection with Linasa, which has grown over the years. I mean, there's an interest in pedagogy.
I mean, it's a beautiful question you asked, because there is something that is responding to you and reflecting in you when you're asking this question. And I think that's what an artist needs. So maybe if you do join drama school, and maybe in the end of your year, you want to take this forward, I think it's a great initiative, because this will open up new avenues for you, for the school, and for a lot of practitioners who come along. So I think at the end of the day, it's what the artist brings in themselves and what kind of questions they ask will provoke what kind of artists they become.
Right. Shivam has a specific question about the pedagogy, and Tushar, I'd like you to answer this particularly. He wants to know what kind of changes would DSN make in its pedagogy to deal with the post-COVID world, where we can expect probably recurring lockdowns or other restrictions of similar kind. Could you please throw some light on this?
I mean, firstly, I think the school is aware of what is happening. At the same time, we are still waiting a lot of guidelines, because around the world, no one is clear how things will clear up. At the same time, the idea is very clear to give the students an experience that we have been currently giving to the students till now. So the idea is to work around the parameters that we would be given. At the same time, we are like at this very batch that's not in the school right now because of COVID and gone back to their places. We have incorporated a lot of practitioners from around the world who are in a lot of classes with students, and we are in talks of how we can take our Adyan, which is our final module where students need to create their own work of art performance into next stages. And the idea is always the school is also looking at all these aspects and come up with things that will make sure that we don't lose out on things. At the same time, this is not the perfect time to finally give you full idea, because the world is shifting. We ourselves are not sure what is happening currently to the world and how these things will move forward. But do be aware that we are acknowledging that, and we are in constant contact with people who are going through these things, who have an understanding, and we are coming up with solutions that will kind of cater to any problem. Deepal is the pedagogical advisor, so I'm sure if he has ideas or thoughts right now to respond to this question, because we are in contact.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I guess, yeah,
Yeah,
you've included, you said
basically that's
everything.
what
Yeah, basically that's what it is. I mean, you know, we are like any other institution, adapting to the times that
and
are
the
here.
biggest
And
of the institutes are doing the same thing. So
yeah, I mean,
it's
every
not
school is figuring out. The school that I went to in California right now has just did a whole entire clown module online for the first time in their lives, you know. But at the same time, what they did was they said, do the clown module online, uh, and if you wish, you can come back for the module next year.
right.
So I mean, like they're figuring it out themselves, you know. So we will have to come up to, because right now
Yeah,
at this point it would be it wouldn't be right to say, yeah, we are aware that there can be a lockdown, so we have a plan in place, because nobody plans for another, you know, a lockdown, because uh, you know, we're not planning that there won't be a lockdown, but we'll have to come up with something
yeah.
while
But we
as we
are
speak.
looking at scenarios that will
Yes,
cater to whatever problem arises. So that
exactly.
should not be the
Yeah,
concern, and whoever wishes to join will get a full idea of where it is heading. So nobody will be on the unknown territory once things officially open up, and you will be fully aware, and we will be in a situation to explain it to you
yeah. Like,
fully,
by the time we start school, we'll have a contingency plan in place,
everything that.
you know.
All right. One more question coming in from Vidur. Performing arts presence apart from focus on theatre or making performing arts or its absence in the course at DSM. This,
I don't know. I didn't get the question.
So I didn't get the question either.
okay, so Vidur wants to know that. All right. Could you address one question that I had addressed earlier? Performing arts presence. Okay. In terms of yes, performing arts presence apart from focus of performance arts in terms irrespective of apart from theater or its absence on the Vidur, can you just write a question again because it's becoming can you just
Vidur,
write
if you can
something?
write it on the chat as well, so we can
Yeah,
read
that'll
it
be great.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll just ask this question. Shreyan has a question for both of you. He wants you to share your journeys as theater artists of finding yourselves as theater artists. If you want to
Yeah,
start.
people start.
Sorry, come again. Sorry, I was reading Vidhu's question.
Your theater journey and how you came about understanding of
Finding yourself as an artist, finding yourself and your entire journey, your training. And
Well, I didn't have COVID, so it was easy. No, I'm just kidding. Me, I come from a family of chartered accountants. So, like, you know, my father has two brothers, and I have six cousins. All of them are chartered accountants. So I come from a family of chartered accountants, and I couldn't understand numbers. So, I just couldn't understand numbers. And I love performing. I love telling stories. So I was like, I understand this. You know, like people understood numbers. I understood storytelling. I was like, I could see things. I could feel things. I said, "Yahi kar lete hain yaar, yahi jam raha hai, yahi theek hai." So I started, wondering more about it, trying to learn more about it. I was always curious, inquisitive. My parents were not very happy because they were scared. So, like I said, I had to convince them, that uh, I said, I can't. If I try and be a chartered accountant, I probably won't become one. I just don't understand numbers. But I understand this. I can make something out of this. Might as well go study something. They weren't very happy, but they said, okay, study. What do you do? I didn't have to fight much, but then I studied. I did. Am I? This is the question that you want to know what I did, correct?
But
yeah,
मैं चला
your
अपनी
journey.
कहानी सुना रहा हूँ जबरदस्ती.
No, that's absolutely fine. Your journey to finding yourself as an artist.
Theater, yeah.
Yeah, in
I
theater.
mean, my journey. I'm still in theater.
What did you do? How it came about?
I wanted to be a TV star. I wanted to be a TV star. I come from this lower middle class family in Mumbai. I grew up dreaming that, I grew up when I watched TV, I was like, I want to be a TV star. That was my beginning. But then till I saw this Swedish group perform in the north of India once. I didn't understand Swedish, but the way they moved and they sang together and they used fire and the visceral impact of it that came onto me uh, disturbed me, provoked me. It jolted my my insides. And I never felt something like this, And what happened was I felt this sense of vulnerability and power at the same time. I was like, this this capacity to move somebody on the inside without they even understanding something is so phenomenal. And I really got attracted to it, And at that time, I decided this is what I want to understand. I want to learn because देखा ना, अद्भुत था ये. It was like I had never seen something like that. I had never felt something like it before. So for me, it was like absolute. I lost my mind. मैंने कहा ये नहीं सीखा तो क्या सीखा, मतलब अब समझ ही नहीं आ रहा था उसके बाद. So for me, it was that one moment of like, wow, this is what it is. I want to tell stories. I want to be there in front of people, be affected and see them being affected by the audiences. And I said, this is magic, this is humanity. I mean, this is invigorating and disturbing. This is empowering and infuriating at the same time. It's like everything at the same time, and it's real. It's happening. So to me, that magic is what just drove me to do theater, and I still haven't been able to, recreate it. So that's scary. But, you know, and it says like, "Aap kitne school kar lo, God knows when you're going to learn how to do that." It's a tough one. And I think that's what keeps me still interested, because I'm still interested in finding, creating that magic, um, and inspiring. And I think uh, for me personally, I don't share this much with people, but I was bullied as a child, and so I found a great sense of release in theater. I found a great sense of empowerment, power in theater, in storytelling, and I could use all of this and get creative rather than be a sour adult, that I would have been a product of this, of being bullied as a child. So I think for me, it was a lot of things that theater is, I think I call theater as a martial art. Martial art is basically something, it's martial in nature. It's life and death. It's necessary, And for me, theater is a martial art. It really it really is life and death. It creates life. It changes lives, And I think that's why I do it. That's my journey of it. Long story short.
I think we're running out of time, so maybe I'll skip my journey.
अरे ऐसा मत करो सर, थोड़ा तो बता दो यार.
I mean, so basically, I studied a lot performing. Something very similar happened to me as people. I watched a show by a company called Foots Barn when I was in college, and I started theatre in college from Kirodiman College in Delhi called The Players. And I think around that time I came across a play from a French group called Foots Barn, and they were playing a Shakespeare play called Perchance to Dream, which was a collection of all the most of the Shakespeare play and put into performance. Then they used this physical, amazing ability to tell stories, which I was completely amazed. No idea what it was, and it just stayed in the back of my head. Move forward, I finished my college in theatre in college, and I got through National School of Drama. I finished National School of Drama, but the innate need to further study was still there, and I applied to another school called London International School of Performing Arts. Got a scholarship. I moved there. Similarly, people had studied in the US, and so I finished that. And by that time, I already finished on 8 years of training in performance, and I started figuring. By that time, I had a sense of what I wanted to do or how I wanted to tell it. I think it took me a lot of time to understand my own understanding of questions in theatre and things like that. And I moved back to India and started using my practice and finding ways. And yeah.
Great. It's almost like 4:30. Just like last question that Vidur wanted to ask was, I got this question now. So he wants to know, is there a focus on performance art except performing arts in the course? Like, for example, those performances that fall in the ambit of theatre, not necessarily fall in the ambit of theatre, but are performing arts. So
performance art.
Yeah.
I mean, see, again, I would reinstate what I'm saying. The expression has to be from the artist. What we are doing, or any art school does it opens up the place where you are able to articulate and have a voice of what you want to say. Yes, drama school uses styles, different styles for you to have different ways to tell stories. That's why the whole notion of actor, creator, entrepreneur, that we're not just creating actors who can act in any plays. We are also creating people who can have a voice and express and create art themselves, and entrepreneurs so that they can find ways and have an understanding of what it means to self-sustain their art. These are very strong pillars in which drama school is working, because at the end of the day, in today's time, you have to be in a place where you can stand and express your art and not just wait for somebody else's words that you can speak or someone else's direction that you can walk in. So performance art becomes another expression from you. It might be a different tool altogether of what one says in conventional theatre. And yes, we have our students who have used different methodologies. Their own understanding definitely is borrowed from the style they have come across or seen or used in classes. But I am very sure this can enhance and cater to different understanding. Again, performance art is a very deep and strenuous medium in itself. There are schools that teaches performance art. So one cannot just completely say that you've done a theatre school that you are equipped to manage performance art. But what I can very surely say is you'll have an orientation and at least an understanding of what it means. And hence a couple of our students have moved to different institutes after finishing DSM because they understood what kind of world or pedagogy they wanted to enhance in themselves. So yes, it will cater to an extent that at least you'll have an understanding of where it is heading, and then how you take it is your understanding.
Last words from people, and then perhaps we can just close the session.
I mean,
your closing statement.
Just coming back to, the very core of things, why we started talking about this, why do this, why be, and like I said, be it performance art, be it theater, be it, do it because you love it. And pandemics, tragedies, events, incidents do not change what you love. Life will find a way. Livelihood will find a way, and nothing really changes. Do this because you're absolutely in love with this. Find a way to do it the best way you can. Schools, get your skills, create your own profiles, create your work, create a need. The time is to create need, and and just stick to it. Questioning, I think what's not going to help is this safe for me? Is this going to be, is this workable? What is the future? Nobody knows the future. Nobody knows the future. The only thing is what you can do best and what you like doing best. Because in the end, if you succeed doing what you hate, you won't care. But if you fail doing what you love, you'll at least have the gratification that at least you enjoyed doing it. At least you failed doing what you love. So I think at the end of it, when you're sitting alone in isolation, that's what matters. Because in the end of it, you'll all be alone by yourselves, after you've been there, done that. So I think just stick to your guns, and if you like it, just go for it, and and work towards it. Get the skills. That's what I'm going to say. Get the skills for it, no matter what you do.
Great. Thank you, Deepal. Thank you, Tushar. I think it's about time we should close the session. Thank you for sharing your views and perspectives, and for this wonderful session. I think participants, I hope all your questions were answered. The deadline to apply for the course is 5th May. Please send in your applications by 5th May. If you're not able to procure your documents, don't worry about that. We'll give you an extension. I understand with the situation right now, with the lockdown being extended to another 15 days, it will be difficult for you to fetch for your documents. That's absolutely fine. You can watch this recording on DSM YouTube channel. Thanks once again, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Tushar. Thanks, people. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Thanks. Bye-bye. All the best.